for Bridget. I've been saying this over and over again. I will continue to. As long as Bridget and Tapu Lele are in the same format, this is going to be the turn one play for 90% of decks.
Yeah. Very smart by Alex here. He grabs the Rockruffs. He knows in this matchup he cannot be attacking with Zoroark. It just won't do him any good.
Yep, the Lycanroc's attack does knock out Passimians for just 2 energies. You can knock out Passimians, and if Grafton doesn't have access to Shaman and counter energy, as we see that he benches a Shaman right there, then the Lycanroc maybe can take a couple knockouts before it goes down, but we'll just have to see as that plays out. Grafton playing a Brooklet Hill, this is going to allow him to start to get the Passimians down on the board. It's worth noting that Alex can also put that Brooklet Hill to use if he wants to get more Rockruffs into play. That is an option. Brooklet Hill searching water or fighting Pokemon from the deck, but it's a stadium card, so both players can do that. And Grafton's going to opt for Remoraid over the Passimian.
Yeah, I think this is right early. His hand wasn't looking great, and he's not planning on attacking this turn. He's not going to knock out that Lele probably. He just wants to get his board established. And the best way to do that is by getting Octillery out so he can start drawing with that. One interesting thing is that he does have to bench this Shaman already, because it looks like his only supporter card, draw supporter in hand is Sycamore. Well, he has an N as well, but he decides to bench the Shaman. So Alex can go here, use Lycanroc GX's Bloodthirsty Eyes ability to bring up Shaman and just take the knockout on that.
Yep.
And at least get it off the board. Now, like we were saying, Grafton does play the 4 Rescue Stretchers, but he still needs to see that is my biggest threat right now.
Yeah, Grafton looks like he wants to just play down the Shaman so that it is on the board. He doesn't have to worry about searching it out, because assuming Alex doesn't hit that line of play, then Grafton has that Shaman available for whenever he wants to use it. Of course, Shaman is only relevant if Alex took a prize on the previous turn. Otherwise, the attack only does 30 damage, and it doesn't hit any relevant numbers. Only when Alex took a prize on the previous turn does Shaman hit for 120.
So we do see a flying flip here. Now, where that's relevant is going to be the Passimian math on the Lycanrocs and maybe on the Shamans here. It's not the most detrimental thing for Alex, though, to see that come down. I think he still probably wants to target down that Shaman at least this turn.
Yeah, the Lycanroc becomes a lot easier for Passimian to knock out with that 20 damage, because the hitting for 180 is a lot more comfortable than trying to reach for that 200 damage, especially when you're only playing 2 of the ability Passimian.
Yeah, his deck can't even hit the 200 numbers, I don't think. It's at least decreased a lot.
Yeah, so maybe that's why we see that he's playing the 2 Tapu Koko promo to get that flying flip in there and try and make those numbers a little bit easier for him to reach.
For sure.
So Alex's turn here is activating that Brooklet Hill, like I was saying. He can look through. He doesn't even have to get anything if he doesn't want. He actually does play 3 Rockruff, so he can go and get the corner Rockruff. And he also plays a Sudowoodo with Watch and Learn. And there's a counter energy in his deck as well.
Yeah, so the only attack that I can really see that, I mean, he can copy things like Shaman. If you copy Team Play, it won't do very much of anything at all. So he's probably just going to be copying Shaman, maybe like an energy drive from a Tapu Lele, something like that. But there's not too many things that copies.
Yeah, so we're going to see an Acerola here. It gets that Pokemon out of the active spot. We see Lycanroc. It's pulling up that Shaman. This is exactly what you were saying. It is going to be not a double colorless attachment, which means Alex is going to have to expend his GX attack here to knock out this Shaman, but he will be able to do so. Dangerous Rogue will be the knockout. He's going to take a prize, and Grafton's board, is not particularly developed. He's going to have to, if he can find a counter energy and a Rescue Stretcher, and I see Rescue Stretcher in his hand right now, then he's in a great position, but that Choice Band says otherwise.
What I don't see in his hand is a draw supporter, or a way to get this Octillery out. He's going to get a Passimian down, but it doesn't look like he's going to do much else.
I mean, Flying Flip is useful, and with that Choice Band, it does 50 to the Lycanroc and 20 to everything on the bench, which, I mean, that is some good damage, but Grafton would really like to get that Shaman into play again and attack with it. So we'll have to see what the rest of his hand allows him to do. Strong energy to the Passimian there. That is that first attack. That does, what is it? It's like 10 damage or something.
I believe it's flinging. I think it does 20 to anything. What he's doing there is he attaches that, and it's almost like having an extra Passimian on your bench. Right? He's going to increase that damage since he's only playing the 2 Ultra Prism Passimians. It means that he can do more damage. Here we get a look at the prize cards. We do see Passimian and a counter energy prize for Grafton. Those aren't great cards, especially not the Passimian, but in this matchup it shouldn't be a huge deal.
Yeah, and then on the other side, Zoroark, Zorua, nothing really that
the
detrimental.
Rockruff is the biggest issue.
Right, but he's got the 2 down. He has already used one of the Lycan Rocks. Getting the third one out would be great. And with the location that it is in Alex's prizes, he's probably not going to take that Rockruff as a prize this game. So he's only going to have one more Lycan Rock GX available to him.
Yeah, that should be all he needs, or all that he's really going to be able to get out this game. But it is a little unfortunate.
All right, so we see Alex here. His hand is pretty healthy. He's considering playing down Tapu Lele, activating that Wonder Tag. He's going to opt for Cynthia and a Strong Energy to the active. So that Claw Slash does 150 damage right now. Actually hits for 300 because Tapu Koko is weak. None of that is relevant. It gets knocked out anyway. But he's really going aggro with this Lycan Rock and saying, you know what? Your deck likes to hit for fighting weakness, and I'm just not ever going to promote a Zoroark this game.
And that's exactly how he has to play this matchup. If he starts fighting with Zoroark over and over again, there's just no way that he can win that game.
All right, so at Cynthia is going to be 6 cards that Alex is going to draw. I don't know really what more he needs in his hand right now. He's already played his energy, and he doesn't necessarily need to activate Bloodthirsty Eyes. But he's going to take that Remoraid. That actually does make a lot of sense.
It's a very strong play. It kind of it just makes one less out in Grafton's deck to get him out of this hole that he's in, and an Enhanced Hammer.
All right, that Enhanced Hammer means no more Flying Flip. That damage was starting to add up, and now Grafton is going to have to attach a Counter Energy or a double Colorless again. He does have it in his hand. Another Brooklet Hill as well. He can activate, go get another Passimian.
He also top-decked a Mallow, so he's going to definitely probably put a Sycamore on top, or maybe even like the Counter Energy, just to go and take this knockout next turn with that Shaman that's in his hand.
Right.
I could see going like Counter Energy Sycamore or something like that. He's got Guzma.
He's gonna bring the Guzma.
Ultra Ball. We'll have to see what he grabs.
All right. I don't know what that card was that he did.
I'm not sure either.
He pulled it out of the center of his deck, but we will see on the following turn what it is that he draws off the top. Going to be considering his options. It's surprising to find this game in this situation because we really expected Grafton to kind of just have an easier matchup here. Everything hitting for weakness is certainly an advantage for him, but I guess he's just not drawing the right cards right now and kind of is just stalled out at the moment.
Grafton's super not out of it yet though, because if you look here, like Alex might be up 3 prizes, but Grafton can also just take 3 2-prize knockouts in a row these next 3 turns.
Right, yeah, it's worth pointing out that Grafton's deck, the only 2-prize Pokemon that it plays is that Tapu Lele GX. Everything else only worth 1 prize, so it takes a long time to actually win a game against this deck. He's considering Shaman Counter Energy. I saw Counter Energy's at the top of this deck. I'm sorry, he mallowed and put it on top. Goes ahead and benches the Shaman again, and then uses that Bling attack. That's going to put 20 more damage on the Lycan Rock, and it's going to go back over to Alex.
Alex gets the N. I think that the N could be a strong play depending on what you think Grafton put on top of his deck.
Right.
You have to assume that he put either the Counter Energy or just a draw card there. I don't mind playing the N. Of course, Grafton only has 2 cards. But I feel like you just have to keep Grafton stuck in this hole where he can't really do anything.
Right, like you just have to assume that top card in Grafton's deck is going to be exactly what he needs to get out of this situation. And giving him a fresh set of 6 does seem kind of weird, but at least it's a set of 6 that isn't exactly what Grafton ordered, and that's what we're going to see Alex do here. He's going to end himself to 4 with his 4 remaining prizes. Grafton will get a fresh set of 6, but Alex will be going down to 3 prizes after this turn with another Claw Slash.
Yeah. Like I said, you have to assume that he gets that Counter Energy and just starts taking the 2 prizes. Alex knows that he needs to take at least 1 more knockout to be able to keep up with Grafton's prize trade.
Right, yeah. He's going to bench another Zoro as well, starting to realize, maybe I can get away now that I'm starting to pull ahead. I can get away with benching a couple Zoroark GX here because that makes it harder to get end down to a low hand size in the late game. Have a couple extra trades to draw some more cards. So he's identifying that it's okay to have another Zoro on the board.
Grafton does hit the Counter Energy, but again, no supporter card.
See a bunch of rescue stretchers, so he can pull up more Passimians if he wants, but he's not going to be attacking with Passimian for quite some time, it doesn't look like. There is an Ultra Ball in hand. He could Ultra Ball and go get a Tapu Lele, but what supporter would Grafton be looking for here?
Yeah, luckily for Grafton, the Tapu Lele is pretty safe because the GX attack on Alex's side has already been used.
Right.
Alex does not play Kukui, so there is no way for him to go and swing for that one shot with a Zoroark at any point.
Once this Lycanroc goes down, Alex really doesn't threaten being able to do 170 damage to knock out that Tapu Lele. This Lycanroc right now that's active with the Choice Band does knock out a Lele, but it's about to get Revenge Blasted by this Shaman here and going to be taking more than enough damage to get that knockout. And then Alex's board, it starts to look a little bit thinner with this knockout. Grafton's going to go ahead and announce that Revenge Blast attack. I believe that is the name of the attack. Shuffles in 2 of his special energies before doing so, and we're going to go back over to Alex. Grafton takes 2 prizes, goes to 4.
So here you have to assume that Alex is going to just go DCE onto this onto this Lycanroc and start attacking.
Yep.
But then that Lycanroc is at 70 damage, so it's definitely in range for a Passimian to come up and knock it out next turn.
Yep. And it's worth pointing out also that Grafton has that Tapu Koko promo with that free retreat. Any knockout that Alex gets, Grafton can just promote that Tapu Koko, play another Rescue Stretcher, get that Shaman back, attach another counter energy, and he just knocks out another another Lycanroc GX and gets another 2 prizes pretty easily.
Now, one thing I would really like to see from Alex here is counter energy Sudowoodo Revenge Blast back on the Shaman. That would put him back into this point in the prize trade where he needs to be. I'm assuming that Grafton doesn't have a way to knock out a GX on Alex's bench and then a DCE for the turn and a Guzma. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Sudowoodo being worth only 1 prize instead of the 2 prizes that the GX Pokemon is, really helps out Alex in this prize trade here.
I'm wondering if he's going to put that, he's mallowing. I wonder if he's going to put that counter energy on top of the deck. My bet would be that he would, knowing Alex as a player. But we do see there's definitely a DCE in that mallow.
Yep.
I'm not sure what the other card was.
Yep. I think, now that I'm starting to remember, Alex only plays the 1 counter energy.
Did he Sycamore it away earlier?
I think he might have gotten rid of it already.
Okay.
We'll have to see here.
If that did happen, then all of my thoughts are null and void.
He could puzzle. If it's in the discard pile, he does play the 4 puzzle of time. Mallowing for puzzles means he can get it up. And there is a double colorless and a float stone. So it's going to be energy drive.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that energy drive would be enough to knock out, so that works too.
Shaman with 70 HP. It's a pretty small little guy.
If anything, that's actually a better play. I was thinking that Shaman had 90 HP. But if anything, yeah, that's stronger because you can attach a second DCE to the Lele and knock out something like a Passimian or this Koko that's active.
Yeah, and that Lele is kind of difficult to knock out for Grafton unless he can get all of his Passimians on the board. It's kind of hard to hit for 170. That Lele is not weak to any type, so you have to get manually up to 170 instead of trying to hit for weakness. So that Lele might be able to take a hit as well. We do see Grafton find that Octillery, plays it down. He has access to that Abyssal Hand, so he can start drawing some more cards and hopefully being able to make a little bit more happen for himself as he plays this Ultra Ball and moves the Cambalion up to the front of the deck, considering maybe taking that. With the counter energy, that would do 30 damage for every prize that Alexander is taking.
I believe it's 30 plus.
30 plus 30 more for every prize he's taken.
So it needs a choice band, yes.
That would be 180. Grafton's deck, it's clearly a counter energy toolbox, has so many options available to it. Let's see if he's got all of the pieces in his hand. There's Choice Band and Abyssal Hand. Let's see if he gets counter energy. Not yet. He's not.
There is an N. He can N himself to 4, try to hit it. There's a Sycamore as well.
It looks like Grafton might have drawn an extra
they're gonna
card.
he drew an extra card.
Okay, they knew what it was. They reveal it to Alex. It looks like the judge.
Are they gonna give him a
selecting that? They're motioning over the prizes. That might be a prize penalty already. That would be critical in this game.
Yeah, it would be absolutely massive.
Grafton currently in the process of special charging the counter energy. It looks like there either was no prize penalty issued or Alex declined it. I saw Alex's hand kind of motion to where he might be saying, that's fine.
It wasn't like that big of a slip up. Like it looked like it's such an easy thing to do and such a minor misplay. And I know that Alex and Grafton are both players that know and respect each other.
4, 5, 6, 7. No counter energy. No energy at all in that hand. Grafton's turn now suddenly not at all explosive. Counter energy would have been massive here. Now he's gonna have to pass this turn.
Now, the one good thing for him is I don't know exactly how Alex is planning on taking this knockout this turn. He might have to go like a Zoroark to take the knockout. So he still has to. Alex still has to draw into his DCEs this game.
Right. He does need to find a double close energy so that Riot is beating can get a prize because energy drive for 40 is certainly not enough to get there. Grafton does have Nest Ball and another Passimian in his hand, so he could threaten a very easy knockout on that Zoroark by benching all of his Passimians and attaching a double colorless and just using team play for more than enough damage. So Alex will still have to be careful about that. You'll see the Nest Ball come down. probably going to get that past Simeon, and it's a Tapu Lele.
Oh, he grabs the Lele. That's smart. So what he's going to do is he's going to throw up this Lele, because Lele is big enough where it's not going to get knocked out.
He's going to just soak a hit because, like we were saying before, Alex doesn't have a good way of one-shotting a Tapu Lele. Just like Grafton, other than having that counter energy for that Cavalion, doesn't really have a great option either. So this makes some sense. Yeah, the Nest Ball, you don't usually see Nest Ball for Tapu Lele GX, but in this case, taking a hit seems to be exactly what Grafton needs right now because he needs to dig for more energies. We can't see because the prize cam has been flipped up due to his town map flipping his prize cards face up, but he does have a counter energy in the prizes, so being hurt by that just a little bit as we see 2 Leles in the active. Grafton passes over to Alex.
So what we're looking for here on Alex's side is a Guzma.
Yep, he's got double colorless in his hand and another Zoroark for trade.
And I got trade. Let's see what he gets.
1 Ultra Ball.
Guzma.
Guzma. Wow, that's really good. He's going to pull up that Cavalion. There's really no other way for Grafton to get back into this game. Alex is going to go down to 1 prize. Grafton has to take 2 knockouts.
So what Grafton can do here is he has to end and hope that Alex just doesn't draw into a DCE.
Yeah. He needs to bench his Passimians as he's doing now, find an energy to use that team play to knock out the Zoroark and end Alex down to 1. Would be a very strong play because removing 1 of his 2 Zoroarks means Alex is only going to be able to draw a couple cards off of this end with the 1 off of the end, 1 for turn, and then 2 off of trade. That's only 4 cards, and it's not a great number. So it's definitely what Grafton wants to be doing here.
Yeah,
as Alex
absolutely.
reads another one of Grafton's cards. Clearly not the most the deck you see very often, this Passimian counter box.
When he draws into a counter energy, so he can at least attack.
Yep. Counter energy works just fine for Passimian as well. It doesn't have to be double colorless. As long as you're behind, counter energy pays for team play as well.
Yeah, but there's no N. We have to see what Grafton decides to do. I think I would have actually liked if he'd attacked with the Lycanroc last turn. It would have given him more outs. If you look in, I know Alex has the Ace Roll in hand, so he could have Ace Rolled the Zoroark and gotten the DCE off of it and just put it on the Lele.
Mm-hmm.
Now Alex is going to have to draw into this DCE.
Mm-hmm.
Just like playing what I'm talking about, so he just needs to play to like what outs he has in his hand.
Right.
If this Lele had damage on it, he could pick up the Lele and put the DCE on the Lycanroc. But now he just needs to find a DCE this turn, and if he finds a DCE, he wins. So.
Right. So this team play, with only 2 Passimians on board, is more than enough to knock out that Zoroark. Alex has got a Tapu Lele in his hand, so that could certainly help him try to draw the cards he needs. He can thin his deck out a little bit with this Ultra Ball that he's pulling forward, and he's just going to try to draw as many cards as possible. Because just like you said, he needs to just find double colorless energy.
Yes, absolutely. We do know that, well, Grafton got a new hand, so we'll have to see what's in there, but there is a Guzma.
There is a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah. There's a Guzma, so that's all he really needs at this point.
Yep, so it comes down to, can Alex find the cards that he needs this turn? He's going to use that Wonder Tag, goes and gets Sycamore. This is exactly the supporter that he wants to see.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty thin deck. You almost have to assume that he's going to find the double
There's
colorless.
only 1 double colorless in the deck. There are puzzles. I don't think he's played any puzzles yet this
any
game.
puzzle of time, so 2 puzzles of time or a double colorless energy, and Alex will win this first game. That's
And the first
exactly
3 cards
the
are double puzzle DCE for game.
Wow, all right, so it ended up being a rather close game, all things considered, but Alex is going to go up 1-0 in this matchup that we were favoring Grafton in.
I still think you have to favor Grafton in this matchup going forward. The matchup is very strong, and it took a lot of poor luck on Grafton's side and a little bit of good luck on Alex's side to pull through that game.
Right, yeah, when the exact cards you need are the top 3 cards of the deck after you play Sycamore, then you're destined to win that game. So Alex going up 1 game to Grafton. If Grafton were to draw more supporters or just some energies, something to be able to get some more relevant attacks off early on into the game, we'll see him in a much more prominent position much earlier on, and we won't see those prize trades being as close as they were because Grafton is just going to pull way ahead.
Yeah. Like we were talking about, Alex still that game. He had to find ways to take prize cards without like giving up 2 prizes every time. All of Alex's attackers really that are relevant in this matchup are, they're GXs that are going to get one-shot by Grafton's deck. So.
Right. The only option that he does have there is Sudowoodo with counter energy. That is one way that he can use that 1 prize attacker and use a knockout. But otherwise, it's going to just be 2 prize attackers for the whole game. The players are going to set up. Grafton's going to be going first. Alex puts his prizes down, not on the prize cam right there. He's going to put down some prizes. Let's see, on Alex's side, he prizes Sudowoodo. Some energies, not too terrible. And then on the side of Grafton, let's see, there's a Passimian. His Remoraid is in the prizes. Not all too much.
Yeah, so like there's nothing super relevant on either player's side. The Zoroark isn't a big deal for Alex.
So yeah, Grafton going first. Brooklet Hills, he's going to go get his other Remoraid. Luckily for him, he's playing 2 Remoraids, so prizing that one does not actually, it doesn't hurt him too bad. He's still going to be able to get the Octillery set. So he's going to use the Ultra Ball now, and he can go get any supporter he wants. This Passimian deck, you know, I said earlier that Ultra Ball for Lele for Bridget is basically the turn 1 play. Grafton does not play any Bridget. This deck just goes with Nest Balls and Brooklet Hills and sets up fast that way. So we see there's not going to be an Ultra Ball for Bridget. He's just going to go get a Passimian and then play an N.
Passimian, one of those decks, a lot of these Brooklet Hill engines, they don't play Bridget, or they don't play a heavier Bridget. Like we see, there's no Bridget in Grafton's deck.
Right, and it's not very often that you see, like, usually when you see someone play N on their first turn, you think, ooh, that was a bad turn for them. That should have been a Bridget. But in Grafton's case, it seems to be fine. He's got a couple basics down. He started that Tapu Koko. That's a great starter for him. It has that free retreat, so he can go into whatever attacker he needs to. That counter energy doesn't immediately power up the Passimian's attack because Grafton is not behind on prizes. It only provides that double rainbow when he's behind, but it does provide a colorless energy. So with another energy attachment, Grafton plays that strong energy, for example, he can still use that team play attack. So we'll go over back to Alex. That Brooklet Hill is going to search him that Rockruff.
I'd assume that we're going to see another turn 1 Lele Bridget.
Right, he's got the Ultra Ball in his hand, so he's considering it. Which 3 cards to discards
a Bridget. So he's going to go grab maybe another Rockruff and just play his draw supporter for turn. Yeah. I don't mind that play either.
Yeah, I mean, he gets to abuse that Brooklet Hill all the same, so it's kind of like he's a little bit of a Brooklet Hill deck as well, so he doesn't have to rely on the Bridget necessarily. I would imagine he would like to see a Zoroa hit the bench so that, you know, he can get those late game trades going, but you certainly don't need a bunch of Zoroa, whereas in most matchups with the Zoroark Lycanroc deck, you like to have as many Zoroa on the bench turn 1 as possible.
Yeah, and in this matchup, he's playing it more like a Lycanroc deck than like a Zoroark deck, and it really is a Zoroark focused deck most of the time, but he just has to use that other weakness so that he's not constantly getting knocked out by Passimians.
Right, and it's a great avenue for him to take here because he gets to utilize Brooklet Hill, played by Grafton, to the fullest. And yeah, I mean, basically played Bridget, right? He got 3 basics out of there, and then gets to play Sycamore, draws more cards, could find more basics, and has some energies, has some options with those double colorless. If he wants to energy drive, he could. That doesn't seem like a great option. He can maybe play one of his double colorless down on the bench in preparation for following turns. Getting an energy down on Rockruff turn 1 is very important so that you can threaten a turn 2 attack with the Lycanroc GX.
And it may seem like a small thing, but I actually do like that he attached to the promo Rockruff. Mm-hmm. Gives them an out to counter later in the game, which could be some kind of cute plays on the Octillery.
Right, yeah. You play the promo Rockruff in this deck because for a strong energy, its first attack will do 30 damage, and it knocks out Zoroa, for example. Grafton doesn't play Zoroa, so that promo Rockruff, the one that does not have the corner attack, not nearly as useful here, so that's the one you want to be attacking, evolving and attacking with first.
It's a small thing like that not a lot of players pay attention to, but that can matter.
Yeah, and that putting that double colorless on the bench too, not really going to hurt Alex because Grafton doesn't play any Enhanced Hammer, and now he's played a supporter, so there's going to be no Guzma nonsense to knock out that Rockruff, so that energy is going to stick, and we're going to see Flying Flip as Grafton helps Alex put down the damage counters. 50 to the active Tapu Lele GX due to Choice Band, and 20 to everything else, setting up some good math for Grafton later.
We see one of the most interesting interesting cards in Alex's deck that I see is the multi-switch. I think that card could lead to some cool plays here. You could do things like, for instance, switch the DC to the active and attach a DCE. I don't think that he'll do that because, of course, that Lele has 80 damage on it. 50 damage on it. Right. So it will get knocked out by a team play. But
yep, and Grafton is threatening that team play right now. If Alex were to take a prize, that counter energy activates, and team play would be a lot of damage coming out. Let's see, how much damage is it right now? He's got the 1 promo in play, so team play is currently doing 70 damage. if he activates that, and then another 30. So it's doing 100. So with a Choice Band or a fourth Passimian, he knocks out that Lele. So probably not a double colorless to the active multi-switch energy drive. I would imagine Alex goes for a different line here.
Yeah, unfortunately for Grafton, he did prize that one Passimian, and he does not play a card like Gladian that would let him go get it out of his prize cards. He's only playing the town map. So he has to take the knockout before he can go and find his Passimian.
Right. So Alex is now, what is he currently doing? Was this been Ultra Ball? He Ultra Balls away a Mew and his third Rockruff. Probably going to be looking for, oh, it's going to be Tapu Lele to play a Cynthia. He just needs to refresh his hand. It must not have been a good set of cards that he had. Without any Zoroarks on the board yet, or a Lycanroc for that matter, he doesn't really have a good avenue for attacking yet, and without a Floatstone to put onto that Tapu Lele on the active, this might not be a great turn for Alex.
Yeah, Alex needs to hit a 3-card combo to be able to really do anything this turn.
We need a Floatstone, another Energy, and an Evolution. Let's see if he gets any of that.
I think he got just the Fighting Energy.
There's a Fighting. I see double colorless. Not much else in that. I see no evolutions, which means no trades this turn. Not really much of anything. He can do the energy drive for 80, but that doesn't really matter much. That Tapu Koko is already pretty easy for him to one-shot. So that 80 damage, not terribly useful, but that's what Alex is going to opt for here. Attaches double colorless, energy drives for 80. We'll go over to Grafton, who is going to be more than happy to probably flying flip again, right?
I could also just see him going up and taking the knockout on here. If he can hit that, he's got the Choice Band in hand, he's got the DCE, he's got the Ultra Ball right now for the Octillery. His hand is very strong.
That is a good hand, right? Yeah, the team play.
He does decide to discard the Choice Band. I'm wondering if he did not check his prize cards and see that he prized
the
Passimian.
Let's see here. I think he might have had a second Choice Band in his hand. No, he does not. It's just the double colorless, and he's going to Abyssal Hand, draws a counter energy and a special charge. Playing that Sycamore now definitely doesn't look very appealing, and he's just going to flying flip and set up more numbers. There's makes those Lycanrocs even more reachable for knockout, and
for sure.
Also puts on a lot of pressure. All those basics that Alex has yet to evolve, they're all one flying flip away from getting totally knocked out.
Yeah, so that is one strong thing that he can do now, and he definitely has another DCE and the Rescue Stretcher in hand. And with that counter energy activating next turn, if Alex just didn't bench anything, you can take 4 prize cards on Alex's bench Pokemon.
Yeah, it looks like Alex's top deck is a Lycanroc GX, so he gets to save that one Rockruff and opts not to activate Bloodthirsty Eyes. It seems pretty critical for him to knock out this Tapu Koko this turn.
Yeah, I'm assuming we're going to see this Ace Rolla come down and pick up this damaged Lele.
Yep. Now it's going to be an N.
Or not.
All right, both players going to shuffle and draw 6. This is still an early game end. Neither player getting a low hand size after this.
I think Alex is still a little bit scared of the Koko spread, which I can totally understand at this point.
He's going to be scared of the Koko spread, and what do you think about him attacking with this Tapu Lele here and trying to play around a Shaman counter energy, knocking out his Lycanroc GX, which we see is in Grafton's hand right now.
You got both cards of the combo. Yeah, this is not looking super good for Alex this game.
Yeah, this looks a little bit more like how we expected the matchup to go. Alex finds a Field Blower to remove a Brooklet Hill. Not terribly relevant. Grafton's got most of his pieces already on the bench that he would want to have searched with that. And Alex is out of Rockruffs. The only card he could have gotten with that Brooklet Hill still is the Sudowoodo, which might be relevant at some point, but he's going to do the energy drive and hope that Grafton doesn't have any way to knock out the Lycanroc on the bench.
And it looks like Grafton has, I think he has Lele in hand as well. So if he can go Lele for Guzma, bench the Shaman, take the knockout on this Lycanroc, that's a huge swing for Grafton this turn.
And he's going to attach double colorless and Choice Band to the benched Passimian that already had a counter energy and just goes with the Sycamore, doesn't even bother benching the Shaman.
That's very interesting to me. I'm wondering why he decided to go with that course of action. I wish we could read his mind and see what kind of thought process he's thinking.
At least you would expect that he would bench the Shaman just in case he needs it later, right?
Yeah, because even like we were saying earlier, like I was saying, you need to target it down, but even if it gets knocked out, it's just a Rescue Stretcher away from coming back into the game.
Right. So he's going to play the town map, flips his prizes up, and he's going to show that he's pulling the Passimian from his prizes to us. It's very kind of Grafton there. And I was also going to get the Guzma. Think second about the Guzma is actually going to be a Rescue Stretcher. Okay, so he can get the Shaman out if he still wants to. He now has access to that Rescue Stretcher.
Now we do see Enhanced Hammer in Alex's hand. He can Enhanced Hammer that DC on the bench Passimian and take a knockout on the active one.
Yep. Yeah, that Claw Slash is going to be enough damage to knock out the Passimian, and that counter energy would not be live right now because after Alex knocks out this active Passimian, they would be tied on prizes, and he's actually going for an even deeper play. He's going to Guzma, the one with 2 energies, and then Enhanced Hammers, the one on energy on the bench. This removes all energies from Grafton's board here and takes down a Passimian, which is certainly something that Grafton would like to have had on the board.
Yeah, and we don't see any energies in Grafton's hand. And if you look at that Sycamore last turn, it was at least 1 counter energy that he discarded. So a lot of energy gone off Grafton's board. A very strong turn for Alex.
Yeah, big swing.
Like we were saying, this matchup is very difficult, but if there's anyone that can take it down in this field, Alex is definitely one of those players.
Yeah, definitely piloting the matchup very well.
He just double supported.
Did he just play an N after? Oh yeah, he just played Guzma, and then his second supporter was N, and then he just concedes the game. It's an instant game loss.
Did Grafton shuffle in 2?
Yeah.
It depends on what happens here, but that could also be a double. It looks like they're shuffling up for a game 3.
Yeah, I think Alex is just conceding it, not trying to save the time, doesn't want to deal with anything the judges. They probably take note of that as a warning, and he just concedes the game, and it's going to be game 3 because that was Guzma into N. That's what we just saw.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Yeah, I guess there might have been some conversation. Alex is like, no, I want to win this game for real.
All right, well, we're going into game 3. We're tied at 1-1. They're going to shuffle up quickly. We have 18 minutes left in the round. That's enough time to comfortably play out a game. It will take Alex a longer time to close than Grafton, though, because he has to go through so many more Pokemon due to the fact that they're all only worth 1 prize. So even more favor for Grafton now in this matchup.
Yeah, that's really bad for Alex. He actually had a shot going forward in that game, too.
It was looking like a good position for him.
Grafton was kind of low on energy cards. He just cleared his board.
Yeah, and I don't even think that N was terribly necessary based on the board position. I mean, like we were saying, Alex removing all those energies. Grafton's hand wasn't huge, and he was only going to end him down to 4. Grafton had access to the Abyssal hand, so Alex didn't need anything else. He already had his energies on the board, so we could go ahead and use that Claw Slash. So that N not really would have done too much anyway, but unfortunately, Alex makes a little slip up. It happens to everybody. And we're going to go into game 3 here as both players start multiple basics, and Grafton very happy to start another free retreater.
We have double counter energy DCE prized on Grafton's side. On Alex's side, triple Bridget prize.
Bridget, but he starts with 3 basics already in his
starts
hand.
with 3 basics, so it's fine. But I don't know if I've ever seen triple Bridget prize, and he only plays 3. I guess if there's one game that you're going to prize triple Bridget.
It's the one where you start with 3 basics in your hand naturally. And he's just going to go ahead. He didn't even have an out to the turn 1 Bridget anyway. It was just some supporters. He plays the N. And I just got through saying game 2 when Grafton did the turn 1 N that usually when you see someone play N on turn 1, you think, ooh, it's a bad hand. He didn't have out to Bridget. But here, Alex is actually feeling okay.
And he definitely didn't have an out to Bridget. That's for sure.
So, Alex's prize is definitely phenomenal, but Grafton's also remarkably bad for him. Those 2 counter energies really could have come into play. We saw him having trouble drawing into counter energy in game 1 when he had only 1 prize. Now with 2, it becomes even more difficult to get that the Shaman in the active and taking knockouts. So we'll see. If Grafton's turn starts with that Brookle Hill again, he's going to go and start to get, I bet it's going to be Remoraid if patterns hold true.
You can also grab a Passimian here and use the strong energy to fling the active.
That would be a knockout. That would be 80 damage. Yeah. Does he have the strong energy in
He
his
has
hand?
a strong energy in hand, but he has no other energy. So he's going to use, I bet he's going to use this 1 strong energy in his
That's
hand.
what it looks like.
The fling play on the active.
That seems like a pretty good play. Yeah, I agree with that a lot.
And he can go Nest Ball, he can just go grab the Remoraid.
He can still go get his Remoraid anyway, but he's just going straight for it, man. He's angry. He's going to bench an ability Passimian now so that his attacking Passimian's attacks do more damage. Considering the N without playing the strong energy?
Maybe he just doesn't realize that he can take the knockout with it.
Let's see. He's got
the end. Yeah,
there it
definitely
is.
do
Energy.
that.
Plays the end down.
The strong energy in this matchup isn't super relevant, and there's not many times you're going to get these double energy attachments down because you're probably getting knocked out most turns.
Right.
So using the strong energy to take a knockout is really strong.
All right, so both players legally going to be shuffling both of their hands into their deck and drawing 6 cards. And what else does Grafton really want to see off of these? Maybe some more other energy for the following turn?
Yeah, something like that. A Remoraid would be good. Maybe he realizes that, is he only playing a 1 Octillery or is he playing 2? He's only playing 1 Octillery. So he probably realized when he was searching through his deck that he prized the one Octillery.
Yep. And now he's going to get that confirmed.
Now he's going to flip it over.
Flips it on over, sees, yep, there's my one Octillery, so the turn 1 Remoraid, not terribly important. And he might just take that Octillery from the prizes with this fling.
He just puts 2 energy on the 2 damage on the 30 damage on the bench.
That Rockruff is certainly the most threatening Pokemon
absolutely
on Alex's board, and if he's not able to evolve it, he can knock it out with the fling the following turn. Yeah, it is Grafton, but Evo Soda is going to go find that Lycanroc GX. Alex just blows right past the Zoroarks in his deck. Usually you play that Evo Soda to get Zoroark, but in this case, you need to get Lycanroc. You need to get Lycanroc now.
Another interesting thing, we were talking about earlier how Grafton had Nest Balled for a Lele to buy himself a turn, which you usually don't do because it shuts off the effect of the Lele. But here we see Alex doing kind of a similar thing, where he Evo Sodas for Lycanroc and it doesn't get any sort of ability.
Right, you're not able to activate the Bloodthirsty Eyes because you have to evolve from the hand. So certainly, yeah, Evo Soda for Lycanroc GX, not very common play, but Alex is going to go here. He's going to Tapu Lele, go get a Cynthia, Field Blowers away the stadium in play, the Brooklet Hill, and when he's knocking out one of only 2 Passimians on the board, and now there's no Brooklet Hill in play, it might be a little bit difficult for Grafton to get some more Passimians now.
Grafton still has a lot of outs in his deck to go grab those Passimians, and the damage on Alex's board could be relevant here. If he has 3 Passimians on the bench, that's 100 damage, plus another 60, just a choice band away from being knocked out.
Yep. So Grafton definitely setting himself up, as Alex is going to go take a prize, and it's going to be one of those 3 Bridgets. Definitely not something he's going to use, and I imagine if he ever evolves into a Zoroark next turn, that's going to be traded away.
Yeah.
All right, another Brooklet Hill gets played. He's going to play Sycamore before activating the Brooklet Hill. What do you think about that?
I think that's fine. He just kind of like picks what he wants. He wants to draw into the Passimian, so he wants more Passimians.
And then you can search for the other ones. And that's exactly what just happened. He drew a Passimian, and then he searches for the other one. Like you were saying, no energy. Which means Grafton's turn is going to be, hey, I'm going to set up a bunch of Pokemon, and I'll pass back over to you. So he needs to decide what it is he wants to promote, and he's going to leave the Coco active. And he's basically just sacrificing that Coco over to Alex.
What's cool here is, well, good for Alex is he can go and try to set up another Lycanroc, and this Lycanroc will be a clean, fresh Lycanroc.
Right. Much harder to knock out. Grafton's only real out to taking that down in one hit is going to be the Shaman counter energy play, which, as we know, there's 2 counter energies in the prizes for Grafton. It's that center row of the prizes over there.
Yeah. So if Grafton doesn't end up drawing into these and doesn't end up getting these knockouts, there's no way for him to get these prize cards he needs.
And Alex is, just like you were saying before, paying attention to how the matchup works, attaching the energies to the Rockruff without corner and evolving that one, leaving his corner option available, plays a Guzma and takes out the other attacking Passimian, leaving Grafton with he doesn't have that much going on over here.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like we were saying, Grafton's deck definitely has comeback potential here.
Oh, absolutely. A Shaman counter energy and it ties the prizes right back up. Ultra Ball comes down, going to be looking for that Shaman, pulls it to the active, pulls it up to the front of his deck. He's still got to find one of those only 2 counter energies that are in his deck, though, and that's a pretty thick deck. He's got a lot of cards to go through in order to find it.
A lot of cards and no extra draw, and he fails the search.
Besides, it's not worth benching the Shaman right now in case I miss the counter energy, because then Alex could just pull it up and knock it out. So I guess that's the line of play that Grafton's going for here. He's going to draw 7, double
DCE.
colorless.
So I'm expecting a flying flip.
Flying flip would be good here. It could, it puts that 20 damage on the other Rockruffs, so then those Lycanrocs become a little bit more manageable to knock out with Passimian. And it does put 50 on the active Lycanroc as well, because Tapu Koko has that choice.
Puts it right into range for the knockout here. So
let's see what he does. He's going to attach the double colorless. He's considering it. Also got, it looks like that's the Sudowoodo in his hand. Probably doesn't really matter too much. Not going to see that hit the board. And the flying flip is going to come down.
And looking at Grafton's hand, it doesn't look to be very good. There doesn't look to be much draw left in there. So Alex can just take a knockout this turn. But there's also a chance, he's got an ace roll in hand, he can just pick up this active, clear off all the damage.
Yeah, that would be really difficult for Grafton to deal with. Clear it all off, and then just bench that Rockruff, attach an energy to the other Rockruff, re-evolve, and knock out that Koko.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that. I also wouldn't be surprised if he just goes and says, okay, we're just going to take the knockout. But he does He picks up the Lele because his hand he doesn't have a draw card in there. He decides, oh, we're just going to set up 3 Lycanrocs this game.
Yeah, it's not very often that you see that this Zoroark deck doesn't have any Zoroarks down to help with the draw power, but actually he had a Lele in his hand. He just needed a bench space.
Yeah, or I think he just wanted to get the 2-prize knockout off the bench.
Yeah, that's true as well. That's certainly useful as Alex takes another prize, and he has now taken 2 of his 3 birch hits out of the prizes.
So if you look at Grafton's hand, still no energy, no draw card. The Ultra Ball can go grab the Lele if the Lele's still in the deck.
I mean, I think he has to.
Yeah, but the issue there is it leaves him open for a dangerous rogue.
Yeah, Dangerous Rogue would, if he benches the Lele right now, would be 150 damage, and he's going to Rescue Stretcher for it. He's going to actually Rescue Stretcher it into the deck as well as the 2 attacking Passimians. And then he's going to activate the Brooklet Hill and bench one of those Passimians directly. And then it looks like it's going to be Ultra Ball to get that Lele that he just shuffled in. Yeah. So now, yeah, that Lele is susceptible to being Dangerous Rogue for 200 plus damage. And that's going to put Alex down to only 1 prize, and Grafton hasn't taken a knockout yet, so he's certainly falling behind in his prize trade. Really needs to get something going.
He really needs to draw into something off of this end. The end, I think, is the right play here.
Yeah, Alex has no Zoroarks on board. So that end is going to hurt a lot more than it usually does against these Zoroark decks. Usually, if you have a couple Zoroarks on the board, getting end to 3, not that detrimental. You can just draw an extra 4 cards with those trades, but Alex not having that option, and does still have a Zoroark in the prizes, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him to find those Zoroarks. He's down to only 3 cards in hand, so we'll have to see what those 3 are.
I think definitely saw an Ultra Ball.
Yeah, a 3rd card was an Ultra Ball, so Alex will have options, fortunately for him.
And Grafton with the energy again.
Still no energies. That's super brutal. Yeah. He's going to have to pass again.
So, like, here, if Alex just hits Lycanroc energy, he's pretty much locked up the game at that point.
Right, yeah, it goes down to 1 prize, and then at that point, it doesn't really matter what Grafton can do. Alex just attaches and knocks out whatever attacked.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Grafton considering his options here, trying to see what he could possibly do. Even retreating into the Lele doesn't do anything. You can't sponge that because Lycanroc is threatening that knockout.
And you can see Grafton's reactions here. He's just a little bit distraught over, why? How have I not hidden energy this entire game?
Having those 2 counter energies and a double colorless energy prize really hurting.
Enhanced Hammer. Yeah, just the Ultra Ball. He's probably just going to Ultra Ball. Go grab a Lele for either a Cynthia or a Sycamore.
Right, yep. He's going to activate the Brooklet Hill first, see what's in there. Probably not going to bench anything. He's going to need that bench spot for over the Tapu Lele. But he's just going to check, see what his options are before he goes in and commits to discarding any cards with this Ultra Ball.
Oh, he also has. He can go Lele. He's got the Guzma in hand, but he doesn't want to attack with this active one if he doesn't have to. He'd rather go hit a strong energy. He'll knock it out with the. If he has to hit like a fighting or a strong, he can knock it out with the bench Lycanroc. So he still has 2 energy left. Fully powered up Lycanroc, ready to knock out one of these Passimians or the Mew or whatever else he needs to knock out.
Certainly makes sense. So the Sycamore now, Professor Sycamore draws Alex a fresh set of 7 cards. Let's see if there is out to Lycanroc in here.
Ooh, there's double puzzle. Oh, there's Lycanroc right there.
And an Evo Soda. He's going to get a
So
bunch of
very
Zoroarks now. These Zoroarks are going to come down, making Alex much harder. It's going to be much harder for Grafton to end Alex down out of the game here because he's got the other Zoroark in his hand. It's going to be much more protected against those late ends.
The one interesting thing could be, depending on what's in Alex's discard, we can't really. There's a lot less stuff in there when you haven't been getting knocked out all game.
Yeah, so that trade, going to trade away the Mew, definitely not anything Alex wants to be using in this matchup. I think I may have been mistaken. I don't know if the second Zoroark is in his hand. It must have been the Lycanroc that I saw. Here comes the Lele. He attached that strong, just like you were saying. Attaches a choice band to the active one as well. Doesn't need that for the damage, but for good measure, he's going to do 230 with that dangerous rogue attack. Grafton's going to draw still no energy in this hand of his.
Yeah, so if there's no end, Alex wins. And if there is an end, Alex just needs to draw into 1 energy to be able to close out this game in a matchup that we were saying is very unfavorable for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth pointing out, Grafton has not got that Shaman on the board at all this entire game. And without counter energy Shaman, Lycanroc can take a lot of fast prizes. So he's got to find end and energy. You are absolutely correct about that.
I don't believe he's actually attacked other than the flying flips this game.
Right.
So, game 1, we saw a similar situation where he was just drawing really bad, and eventually he got out of it. But he wasn't able to to get there at the end of the game, and now we see a similar situation. It's just no energies, no draw cards for a little bit in the game.
And he plays this Ultra Ball. I don't think there is a Tapu Lele in there, so he's going to have to Rescue Stretcher for the Lele in order to play his end. So that's what he's exactly going to do. The Rescue Stretcher pulls the Lele to his hand, he uses the Wonder Tag, pulls the N, is not playing it yet, because he's got a Choice Band in his hand. He may play first, and he does opt to do that, and then he goes with the N. So Grafton following the exact line of play that you're forecasting, but without an energy here, none of it matters.
Yeah. And like we were saying, if Alex draws into one energy, or even that multi-switch that's in the deck, the game is over that way too.
That's right. So that one card that Alex draws, certainly going to be the most important thing to look for here. That, and if Grafton draws an energy, there is a counter. That is good. Alex not even checking that card yet. Grafton hits multiple energies, so he's going to be set this turn. Alex is going to draw a card for his turn, and then 2 more off of trade. And off of those 4, just needs to find an energy or potentially a supporter to get the energy. Checks the card. Don't know what it is. Promotes his Pokemon with a Float Stone, and it's double colorless energy. Off the top, Alex Hill going to take this matchup. It's very crazy.
Both of them were actually energies. The other one was a counter energy that also would have countered this one colorless on the side. So yeah, that was an insane matchup.
I can't believe it.
Pulling out, beating one of probably his worst matchup in the field.
And it's worth saying as well. Game 2, Alex lost only due to the double supporter mess up that he did. He was in a position, he was in an okay position in that game as well.
He wasn't far. He wasn't ahead, but he was in a winnable position, and then
Alex really making a